Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today's unboxing of the high-grade Cosmic Era Freedom Gundam comes to you courtesy of Canadian Gundam. Canadian Gundam is your one-stop shop for all things Gunpla and Plamo here in North America. With a vast catalog of private warehouse and flat-rate shipping to the US and Canada, they've got you covered in any situation. When you're checking out that vast catalog and placing your next order, don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network to save yourself 10% off. Now, as we take a look at the box, it's pretty standard fare. It's very similar to what we saw with the high-grade Cosmic Era Ale Strike Gundam. Now, of course, you get to the big plastering of the Freedom Gundam there on the front with its wings all out, firing all of its guns and such. And yeah, it's pretty reasonable pose, I would imagine, to pull off. Of course, once I get it built, I will know a little bit better. But I will say, I technically have built a Freedom before. I've built the clear color version that you saw in the Ale Strike review. So I do generally know the mechanics of this kit now, and I built that very recently. So, pretty familiar with how this is going to work. I think that's a pretty reasonable pose to pull off, but we'll see once I get it built. I do like that the Justice Gundam is in the background, but, 7 years later and we still don't have a high-grade Cosmic Era Justice Gundam. So, keep our fingers crossed, but it might still be a while. Outside of that, the sides of the box are going to treat us to some interesting imagery. We, of course, will have all of the information on the Freedom with its front and back shot, so you have a little bit of lore there, and you have a nice idea of what you're looking at once it is complete. You have it in its burst mode up on a stand, and much like the Ale Strike, I would imagine this is going to be a very big stand kit. I don't know that people are really going to want to put this on the ground. The clear color version I have on the ground is standing, but it's not as flashy as it could be. You get to see the gimmicks and the weapons, so you get an idea of what you're getting, and actually, surprisingly, much like the Ale Strike, at least in terms of accessories, pretty standard. You have your sword and board and your beam rifle, pretty standard Gundam equipment. And then, of course, you'll have all the stuff in the wings and the side skirts, but outside of that, not the craziest in terms of what you're getting accessory-wise. On the other side, you'll have all the warnings and all of that. Of course, you have the illustration by Morishita Niochika, I think. I'm sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. Then you have a nice little piece of artwork with the high grade there slashing through a Jin. Would also be nice to have a high-grade Cosmic Era Jin, since that kit hasn't been updated in a long time. But I guess since we have the Master Grade Jin, Bandai's like, yeah, you already have a Jin, don't worry about it. But that is some nice artwork there, and then you get a little bit more general lore in terms of like specifications of the ZGMF-X10A Freedom Gundam. Now once we crack the box open, we'll be treated to a 1 here in this kind of almost lavendery gray color, or maybe like a blue-hued gray. Mostly all gonna be the side skirts for the rail cannons there, so you have that. A2, surprisingly, is in a totally different color, in red, making up pretty much all of the red on this kit, and I am very pleased to see that the little chest piece is molded in red and not a sticker, because I was a little concerned about that, and I didn't quite remember if that was going to be plastic from the clear color version. And I guess technically it is, so there's that. But it is nice to see that there's a fair amount of red here. B1 is going to make up most of the white on this kit, which is all of the extra armor and everything that's not kind of the torso or the wings. B2 is just the complementary plate for that, matching all the other sides of the two-sided portions, the legs, shoulders, and all that fun stuff. The C plate is going to be molded in a light blue and give us the torso, the feet, and the wings, so it's very nice to see all of that. It's molded in a nice color with some pretty good panel lining opportunities. As we move on to the D plate, we get a nice navy, very deep navy color to kind of set off against the blue. It is, I think, kind of a preference, as I know some people prefer like the chest unit and everything of the Freedom to be black, because it's kind of sometimes an animation a little closer to that than navy, but I think this is a nice choice to go with navy, because it is very deep and in some lighting will probably look black. E1 is going to give us all the inner mechanical workings, so you'll have the joints, the shoulders, the elbows, the thrusters, and the beam rifle there. Then you'll have E2, which is the complementary plate, so it's all the other stuff on the other side of the Gundam. You have your standard beam sabers here, and not really much to write home about. They're beam sabers. You've seen them a million times. You have the PC joints, and they look, once again, pretty standard. I think they're probably pretty close to what we saw with the Ale Strike and most other high grades. The sticker sheet, however, is quite big and somewhat concerning. Now, I do believe I remember people saying that most of these stickers are for other stuff that's not on the main bodies, like the wings and the weapons and such. That is kind of nice. A little concerned about some of these, though, because they're quite big and look like they're cut for some interesting corners and curves they have to cover. But it is cool that you get just the little shiny tint portions for the eyes and the eyes, so if you don't want to use the eye sticker, you don't have to. And then you have the manual, which is just sporting the regular standing Freedom with all of its specifications in English, and pretty standard. The back will give you some artwork and some ideas for posing, so expect to see some of these in the review, but pretty much all the same stuff we saw on the side of the box. Now, as we watch the plate spin here, I have to say I'm kind of excited about this. Having already built this, I generally know what I'm in for, but I'm not necessarily... I do appreciate and like the clear color version, and I think this has kind of changed my mind on clear color, but I still prefer solid kits like this, and in terms of its coloration and just being kind of more screen accurate. So I am excited to build it. I still, like I said in the Ale Strike review, I'm concerned about the proportions and sculpt of this. Having it already, I kind of know there's some things I'm going to be concerned with, and it's not going to be nearly as striking or proportional as the Ale Strike. So I think I'm still going to kind of favor that one, but of course let me know in the comments down below. If you've built these before, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the Ale Strike, the Freedom, or the Strike Freedom once we get to that? But I'm overall looking forward to it. Once again, another fairly simple build, and to having a more stable, regular-looking 1/144 scale Freedom as opposed to the real grade, which, while it looks pretty and nice, is a nightmare to touch, and I'm not looking forward to getting it down again for this review, but overall, it'll be interesting to compare them and see. If you have any guesses as to what my thoughts will be, do let me know in the comments below, but otherwise, please, friends, stay safe and keep on building.